Hello again, guys. So one thing I want to talk about is pretty basic, I think, in terms of how teachers are researchers, is just the way that we collect data sometimes without even realizing it. Whether it's just, you know, a set of exams or quizzes or homeworks, collecting all of those grades to then see, okay, what grades are people lacking in, like what areas or what, maybe units or something like that. Is there a specific student that is consistently not having those, that good data? And then maybe we can think about why that is, something going on at home or something else going on in that student's life. Um, or is there a way I can switch up my personal teaching technique if it's not working for a lot of students? So just baseline, like a baseline fundamental of teaching is always adjusting based off of feedback, right? We can give feedback to students, but we also need to look at our own feedback, right? We need to be critical of ourselves. If something is not working based on our data, then we need to change it because it's about the students, not us. And this leads into, I think, the APA format actually as well. When we think about just teachers as a whole, it's not just the data that we can get from students, but also just data from districts and from new research methods and theories as a whole. And so if you see like a pedagogy that we have found, new research on that claims that it's not working anymore, and you see that it's a solid APA correctly cited, paper, then absolutely maybe take that paper's advice, and especially if there's more papers like it that then come out. The field is ever changing, so we need to be cognizant of that. And then on the opposite end, if you see, maybe a few papers published by someone that's not peer reviewed with improper APA formatting in this new edition, can you think of it as a credible paper to then base changing your pedagogy on? Can you think of that as reliable data versus the data that you consistently see in your own classroom or in other papers? It's a consistent process, I guess, of having to stay updated, but also just be cognizant of the way that you are staying updated. As researchers, as teacher researchers, we need to, even make our own research. And when we do that, beyond just the classroom, beyond just our own personal data for our own students, we need to then cite it in that proper formatting, or else we won't be taken seriously. Or else our own research that maybe is groundbreaking with a new pedagogy, or seeing how a new one is not maybe working as well in your classroom. If we produce that and we ourselves, like let's say I did that and then I put a paper out there in an improper APA format, people aren't going to take it seriously. So this new thing in the field that could be so groundbreaking is then not taken seriously because of the way that we wrote it incorrectly. So we have to take all of these things into account to just not only be taken seriously, but to then be taken seriously to have good communication across the field so people are constantly staying up to date for their own personal students to keep our pedagogies updated and working well for our specific students. And maybe a pedagogy isn't working despite what papers are saying because it's about the needs of your specific students. Maybe those specific students still need a different one than the one that a paper might say is correct because of their specific needs, because all students are different, and we need to keep that in mind. Once again, I'll say it. I said it last week. I'll say it again. It's about the students, not us. So that's why we need to take that into account. Thank you.